Good morning, everyone. Oh, come on, y'all can do better than that. We are at the very first White House National Home Ownership Month event, so it is a very good morning. Excellent. My name is Maria Town, and I am an Associate Director in the White House Office of Public Engagement, and I am very proud and honored to welcome you all to the White House this morning. We have an excellent program lined up to really highlight the work of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, the progress that the administration has made on making home ownership a reality for all Americans, and you're going to hear from some amazing individuals and housing counselors who have really dealt with significant barriers to become home owners and dare to achieve the American dream. So in addition to welcoming all of you who are here with us in the room, I would like to welcome everybody who is live streaming this event. If folks want to tell their friends, the link is whitehouse.gov/live, and you can tweet and post on social media using the hashtag #OwnTheDream. It will likely be that folks will be very excited to take pictures at the conclusion of the event behind the backdrop. That is totally fine. I ask one favor. We don't want your beautiful pictures ruined by these kind of ugly badges, so no badges in photos. Laying the rules of the road out here. So to really kick off our program, I would like to welcome Mr. Ed Golding. Ed has worked in the field of mortgage finance for more than 25 years, and he currently serves as the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Housing at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Most recently, he served as Senior Advisor on Housing and Finance to the Secretary of HUD. In this role, he helped craft the administration's position on housing finance reform, including working on the Johnson-Carpo bill. Prior to his service at HUD, Ed was a senior fellow at the Urban Institute, where he played an instrumental role in launching the Housing Finance Policy Center, a leading research voice on housing finance matters. He began his career at the Federal Home Loan Bank Board during the savings and loan crisis, and then joined Freddie Mac, where he worked for 23 years. So with that, I would like to welcome Ed to the stage. Thank you.
I want to thank all of you who managed to make it through the security line, and those on the other half of the audience that can't hear me but can watch what they missed when they on tape later. I also want to acknowledge Bruce Dorpalin, head of the National Housing Resource Center, and Lindsay Burns from the Housing Partnership Network, who helped us locate the families and counselors, most of whom are here today to share their stories. But most importantly, I want to thank the new homeowners for joining us today. You believed in the American dream and worked hard to make it a reality, and your stories are inspiring to countless others. It is great to be back celebrating housing as a core American value. There's one simple truth: everyone needs somewhere to live. At HUD, under Secretary Castro's leadership, we help ensure that place is safe, decent, and affordable. Because a home is more than just a place you live, it is the source of opportunity and security. Responsible homeownership has been and remains the key to building wealth, stabilizing communities, and creating a strong middle class. And thanks to the hard work of Sarah Juric and her very able staff in the Office of Housing Counseling, as well as the thousands of housing counseling and advocacy organizations across the country, the public is beginning to understand the important role that housing counseling plays, because together they unlock the doors to a future that is sustainable and bright. When Secretary Castro arrived at HUD, he made it very clear that we weren't going to run away from our history of supporting responsible homeownership. He understood that our faith in the American dream was well placed, and as the recovery continued, our support for homeownership had to remain constant. HUD's mission is to create strong, sustainable, inclusive communities and quality, affordable homes for all. And in his time at HUD, Secretary Castro has dedicated himself to that mission. The Secretary likes to talk about HUD as the Department of Opportunity, and that's what we're here to celebrate today. The folks that seized that opportunity and made it a reality. So it's a great honor for me to welcome to this stage your HUD Secretary, Julian Castro.
Good morning. First of all, thank you very much, Ed, for that kind introduction, but more importantly, for the excellent work that you and your entire staff are doing. And thank you so much for your leadership on this issue. I want to thank Maria, as well as Sarah Jarik and the entire Office of Housing Counseling. Let's give them a big round of applause for all of the fantastic work that they do. I also, before I go on too far, I want to acknowledge someone very special to me who was here this morning with me, my daughter, Karina. She's a little bit shy, but she's about to go back to San Antonio for the summer, and so I wanted to make sure she got a chance to shadow me at work today. So. It's great to be here with all of our housing counselors and advocates as well. I know that many of y'all in the room do this important work day in and day out, or you lead an organization of folks who do this. Thank you for the great work. It makes a tremendous difference. And I also want to thank all the homeowners who are here. I know we're going to have a chance to hear some of their stories. Happy National Homeownership Month. You know, it's fitting that we've gathered at the White House to mark this occasion. We all know that when President Obama first took office in January of 2009, really there wasn't a lot to celebrate in the housing market. Home values were plunging, foreclosures were skyrocketing, and construction companies had pretty much stopped building at that point. But thanks to the President, and thanks to the hard work of leaders across the administration and to folks like you, we've seen a tremendous resurgence over the last 7 years. Americans have built roughly $7 trillion in housing wealth since 2009. In the last year alone, home values rose as much as 7% nationwide, and sales of single-family homes reached their highest level in nearly a decade. And since the typical American family has more than 60% of their net worth tied to their home, the recovery in our housing market truly has helped jumpstart our entire economy. I'm proud as well of HUD's role in helping to achieve this progress. In the midst of the crisis, the FHA took decisive action that helped to stabilize our nation's housing market. Independent economists estimate that these measures prevented housing prices from dropping another 25% and home sales from falling by another 33%. They also saved nearly 3 million jobs and roughly $500 billion in economic output. And after the market returned to solid footing, we didn't just stand pat and congratulate ourselves on a job well done either. Instead, we turned our focus toward opening the doors of opportunity for underserved Americans. And we made it easier for more hardworking, responsible borrowers to realize their dreams of home ownership. In fact, in fiscal year 2015 alone, the FHA helped more than 1.1 million families to buy or to refinance their homes. And nearly half of all Latino and African American households who purchased or refinanced their homes received support from HUD. Over that same period of time, our Office of Housing Counseling has also provided financial knowledge and empowerment to more than 1.3 million families. And today, I'm happy to announce that we're awarding $42 million in new housing counseling grants, funding that'll help nearly 200 agencies to continue their work. we make these investments because research shows that they make sense for families and for our economy. Borrowers who receive counseling are more likely to make their payments, to avoid foreclosure, and to be able to bounce back after tough times. And later this month, HUD will publish preliminary findings from the first ever large-scale national study on the benefits that housing counseling provides to prospective homeowners. Now, without question, our nation has come a long way in 7 years. And today's celebration is about more than just reflecting on all that we've accomplished. In other words, it's not just about the past. It's also about the future. The fact is that we've got to build on all of the progress that we have made. And that begins with recommitting ourselves to this important work, the work that you do. This morning, we'll hear from several individuals. We'll hear some powerful stories that prove the extraordinary difference that housing counseling can make. We'll meet Kib Syme, the pastor of a small church in Virginia who came to the United States 5 years ago in search of a better life for his 4 children. We'll meet Sean, a soldier from rural Maine, and hear about the bond that he's formed with an incredible housing counselor who has her own deep connection to the military. And we'll hear from Rokia, an inspiring young lady from Indianapolis who's busting the myth that millennials just aren't interested in home ownership. They really are. Each of our guests has overcome long odds and has displayed tremendous determination in the face of adversity. It's the kind of determination that I know you see in the folks that you serve every day. And while they hail from different backgrounds and they represent different parts of our nation, they share at least one very important thing in common. They all dared to own the dream. And thanks to the support of dedicated housing counselors, thanks to folks like you, they all turned their dreams into reality. So I want to end this welcome by thanking each of you for everything that you do, for helping more Americans to experience the pride of purchasing their first home, for helping more parents to provide a lasting symbol of security and stability to their families, and one that they can pass on to future generations, and for helping more hardworking families realize what continues to be an enduring piece of the American dream. I want you to know that HUD is proud to stand with you in fulfilling this important mission. And I know that together we can continue to unlock the doors of opportunity for folks across this nation. The opportunity to have a place of their own, one where they can create lasting memories with the people they love, the opportunity to live in neighborhoods of promise with better schools and safer streets, and the opportunity to build a brighter future for their children and for their children's children. That is what we are building toward together. And we've got to keep going there. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce Sarah Jarek, HUD's Deputy Assistant Secretary for the Office of Housing Counseling.
And at this time, I'd like to ask our speakers to come forward, please, and be seated at the table. And as you're coming forward, just a little note here, because we haven't practiced. You'll push the button when it's your turn to speak, and speak from the table. I'm going to come over there and join you. And we have very short stories for you. Their stories are much longer and more powerful, but because of the program, we can't tell much of them. If you're interested in learning more, we ask you to please contact each housing counseling agency. Thank you. I'm going to come over here. Hopefully I don't need- Sorry. sorry, thank you very much. We'll have you for the translation in just a moment. Thank you. Let's see if it works. Okay, good. It's my pleasure to have our first story coming from Sean, a homeowner from Maine. You want to go ahead?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Avery, and my wife Nicole and I recently purchased our home. When we decided we wanted to buy a house, the concept and process was extremely intimidating, but thanks to HUD's first-time homeowners course, we gained the knowledge and confidence necessary when purchasing our home, our dream home. We began renting at my first duty station in Portsmouth, Virginia, and treated the house as if it were our own, with painting and fixing the yard and working on appliances. This concept was really hard to accept for us because the cost of renting a home alone and the expenses of doing all this wasn't directly affecting our own home. So in purchasing our own home, we were able to put our dream together as building a place of our own and back home in Maine. However, with being in the military, I knew that we would be moving around 2 to 4 years and had no idea when I'd get stationed back in Maine, my home state. We knew we had always wanted to go back and settle in Maine, so purchasing in any other state was simply out of the option. Then it happened. The orders to Rockland, Maine came in, and we realized our opportunity to purchase our dream home could be very real. But what does a couple of 23-year-olds know about buying a home? Nothing. Taking the first-time homeowners course was necessary for us, and it taught us so much. Completing the course even helped us with putting $3,500 towards closing costs, which was very beneficial. Since we only had 2 months' notice to find and purchase before moving from Virginia to Maine, but with the support of our broker Danny Avery, who happens to be my dad, loan officer Scott Blake, and housing counselor Linda Joy, our home buying experience was made possible and enjoyable. We knew what questions to ask and learned about the importance of good credit and living within our means. Now with owning our house, all the hard work we put into it makes it our home. It's our home to personalize, maintain, and build everlasting memories. Even though I'm still in the military and not guaranteed I'll still be in Maine in 4 years, we'll always have a home to come back to, and that's the greatest feeling in the world. So thank you, and thank you HUD and CEI for helping and making this dream come true for us.
Thanks for sharing that story, Sean, and your counseling agency, Coastal Enterprises of Maine. I've had the pleasure of visiting, so thank you. I want to next introduce you to Rakia Bell. She's was counseled with the Indianapolis Housing Partnership.
Good morning, everybody. I just first want to thank HUD for giving us so many opportunities to be homeowners. And then secondly, I want to thank INHP, my counseling agency, for being a support system through this process. Kind of my story, I'm 35 years old. I began the homeowner process when I was 20. I ended up purchasing my first home at 21, but I think what makes my story so unique, I was the first person in my family to ever own a home. My grandparents were not homeowners. My mom and dad, they were not homeowners. My aunts, nobody in my family owned a home. And once I purchased my first home, my mom became a homeowner. My dad became a homeowner. My grandmother was 65, my grandfather was 75 when they purchased their first home. My aunts became homeowners. And so our kids, the children in my family, they have no idea what apartment living is, because everybody in their family are now homeowners. And I know that those opportunities wouldn't have been possible without the assistance of HUD and their programming. I think what makes the dream not so possible for so many Americans is just the everyday trials that they're facing, which is providing food on the table for their families. And with the assistance of the money, the grants that are available to make these dreams possible. How do you save $20,000 when you're barely putting food on your table and you're barely paying your utilities and you're barely paying for your rent? So the dream is not so cloudy when you are able to connect with the resources. So once again, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful for this amazing, wonderful opportunity to share my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakia, and thanks to the Indianapolis Neighborhood Partnership. I want to next introduce you to Kib Saeed, who worked with the Centro de Apoyo Familiar in Riverdale, Maryland. He'll share his story, assisted by his translator and housing counseling agency representative, Walkiria Poole.
Buenos días a todos.
Yeah, why don't you come up here? Okay. Or,
I can do it from here.
yeah,
It's
go
fine.
ahead.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone.
Buenos días al secretario Julián Castro.
Good morning to the secretary.
Mi nombre es
Castro.
Kibsaín Jiménez
My name is Gibson
y
Jimenez.
soy pastor de una iglesia llamada Tabernáculo de Adoración.
I'm a pastor in a church called
Es una
Tabernacle
pequeña
of
congregación situada en la ciudad de Woodbridge, Virginia,
Worship. It's a small church ubicated in Woodbridge, Virginia,
en el condado de Prince William.
in Prince William County.
Y me siento muy bendecido de estar frente a ustedes.
And I'm very blessed to be here in front of you today.
Llegué a los Estados Unidos específicamente el 5 de noviembre del 2010
I made it to the United States 5th of November of 2010
con una familia de 4 personas.
with a family of 4,
Mi esposa,
my wife,
2 hijos y yo.
2 children, and myself.
Y ganábamos salarios muy bajos.
Our wages were very, very low.
2 años más tarde,
2 years later,
específicamente en mayo del 2012,
specifically May 2012,
tuvimos el honor de conocer y hacer contacto con el Centro de Apoyo Familiar
I was honored to connect with Center for Assistance to Family
a través de su red de organizaciones basadas en la fe y situada en Riverdale, Maryland,
throughout their network of churches that they have in Riverdale, Maryland,
con la esperanza de que podíamos alcanzar el sueño de una vivienda propia.
with the hope that we were going to be able to buy our own home.
El asesor de vivienda del Centro de Apoyo Familiar
Our housing counselor at Centro de Apoyo Familiar
nos ayudó a establecer un plan de ahorro
was able to help us to put a savings plan
y de reconstruir nuestro crédito.
and also to build our credit.
Y en menos de 6
And in
meses
less than 6 months,
pudimos comprar nuestra primera
we
vivienda
were able to purchase our first home
con un préstamo FHA,
with an FHA loan,
$5,000 para el cierre de nuestra casa.
$5,000 that was used for the down payment assistance.
Es bueno eso.
That is good.
A través de esa bendición,
Through this blessing,
nosotros no nos hemos quedado callados,
we have not kept ourselves quiet.
sino que hemos inspirado otras familias
We have inspired other
de
families
nuestra
from
congregación,
my church, my
y de nuestra
congregation,
comunidad,
and from my community
haciéndole entender
to let them know
que sí se puede lograr su sueño.
that yes, you can achieve your dream.
Hoy en día,
Today,
mi esposa Raiza, que me
my
acompaña,
wife, Raisa, who's here with me
Yo.
today, and myself,
tenemos una criatura más.
we have one more child.
O sea, tenemos 3 hermosos
Now we
niños.
have 3 children,
Y seguimos transformando nuestra comunidad,
and we continue to transform our community
ayudando a los necesitados
by helping the needy
y capacitando a muchas familias
and empowering many other families
a través del Centro de Apoyo Familiar
through Centro de Apoyo Familiar
para que puedan adquirir su propia
so they
vivienda
can also build asset and
y
buy their homes
compartiendo el evangelio de amor
by
y
sharing the gospel
compasión.
of love and compassion.
Muchísimas
Thank
gracias
you,
y que Dios les bendiga.
and God bless.
Thank you so much. Again, the counseling agency is Centro de Apoyo Familiar. Our next speaker, we wanted to hear from the counselor's point of view and what their job is to help families as well. They're going to share 2 stories with us. Our housing counselor first is Rose from Hawaii Community Assets, and aloha, welcome.
Aloha, everybody. How are you guys? My name is Rose Transfiguration. I'm a housing counselor for Hawaiian Community Assets, and today I have the opportunity to share Jareen and Gerald Pa'akaula's story from their perspective. So bear with me, I'm going to try to translate it from their perspective. Aloha, we are Gerald and Jareen Pa'akaula. We are so humbled and honored to be invited here with you all today. We have been living in our brand new house for about 5 months now because of the help we received from many agencies and organizations. Thank you to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and Jim Patterson for providing the funds for our trip from Hawaii and putting us up in a really nice hotel for our stay. Facing homelessness is one of the most difficult experiences we have had to go through. We are responsible for our family and suffered great pain not knowing if we could provide a place for my precious grandson to lay his head down at night. I heard a saying, we may all be just a few paychecks away too. That was their reality. They were hit so many hardships. Jareen got sick and was disabled to continue to work and help financially. The high cost of living in Hawaii and the outrageous housing market forced them to live in a family home shared by multi-families. We had no savings, poor credit, and facing eviction in just a few days. Gerald's felony record made it impossible to find a rental. Gerald had always been a hard worker, a truck driver for 36 years, paving roads, highways, tunnels, hauling concrete, steel, and heavy equipment, always on job sites building other people's homes. He is trying so hard to push the family forward, but never seemed to make enough, wondering when it would be his turn to live his own dream of owning a home. All we know is how to do and pray and seek God for his help, guidance, and strength to go through. Prayer works, it does. It was at our church in Waianae, Holy Hill of Zion, Bishop Suala Tupua directed us to Hawaiian Community Assets, the largest HUD housing counseling in Hawaii. It changed our lives. Jeff Gilbreth gave us an 8-hour home buyer education and put the dream of home ownership in our hearts. So encouraging the work they are doing and teaching us the process and guiding through every step. It is a hard work, and our counselor, Rose Transfiguration, has been that bridge between agencies. She helped us through securing a rental home through Kahikolu, a transitional housing property. I still pinch myself and can't believe with the year's time our house was built, finally after being on the waiting list as a beneficiary of Hawaiian Homeland Trust for 35 years. We were rewarded a house to be built by Gentry Homes. We moved into our brand new home with 4 bedrooms, 3 full baths, and with all appliances and central air. USDA provided the loan. Clarice Losaka was outstanding to work with. The key to our success was the agencies and grants working together. We dare to own the dream of home ownership. We want to build a strong family, a place to call home, and live in a thriving community. Now we can have or leave behind a legacy for the next generations to come. We are excited for what the future holds for our family. They would like to thank all of the hard work and dedication to the people we all serve as housing counselors. She would like us to seek God for his wisdom, knowledge, and guidance to continue the good work, preventing homelessness and bringing back pride to the people. She prays God bless us all with the unity for the hard work we have ahead. And with this quick prayer, Heavenly Father, open the windows of heaven and pour out the financial blessings so this work can continue to build healthy people, strong families, mighty communities, and united cities for this great nation that God intended for us to be. Mahalo and amen. Now, as a housing counselor, I see so many people of different backgrounds. And as I go through my meetings, my face-to-face appointments with them, I continue to say, if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. In Jareen and Gerald's Pa'akaula's situation, they always kept their head up, no matter what came in their path. They always kept their head strong and kept going. So thank you so much for allowing us to share all the way from Hawaii, Oahu, and Kapolei. They're not only my clients, but they're actually my neighbors. I live on Homestead as well, so thank you so much. Aloha.
Thank you from Hawaiian Community Assets. And our last speaker today is Jody Mobley. She works for Nevada Partners and will tell the story of her client.
Good morning, everyone. I am blessed to serve as the Director of Housing Programs for the Housing Program for Nevada Partners, and it's an honor to be at today's event. The Culinary and Bartenders Housing Partnership, otherwise known as the Fund, was established to increase home ownership through education, counseling, and financial benefits to eligible gaming and hospitality industry employees that were represented by the Culinary Workers Local Union 226 and the Bartenders Local 165. Nevada Partners is a community-based nonprofit located in the city of North Las Vegas. And we manage federal, state, and local grant funds, and we develop and manage programs for low and moderate income adults and youth. The Culinary and Bartenders Housing Partnership and Nevada Partners entered into a memorandum of understanding in 2008 with the mutual desire to provide financial assistance and thus make available home ownership opportunities to low and moderate income families. Nevada Partners Housing Program aims not only to promote home ownership, but also to create informed home buyers who can sustain home ownership. By enabling local families to overcome barriers to purchasing a home of their own, this program encourages wealth creation, a stable workforce, and thus a stronger community. Our success stories highlight the uniqueness of every household we help to transition into home ownership, like the two that were featured in this June's edition of The Bridge. Kendra Richardson, she's a server, full-time server, lounge server at the MGM. She's also a full-time student at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Kendra doesn't get much sleep. Our April success story featured Jose Hernandez. He's a single father of 2 teenage girls, and he's been employed at Caesar's Palace for over 26 years. His daughters asked him for a pool. They had been asking him for a pool for years. So with the assistance that he received from our program, he got a pool and a house to go with it. Lastly, the success story that's being written right now again concerns a single parent who closed on his home yesterday. His wife died a few years ago after suffering a brain aneurysm. The youngest of his 3 girls was only 6 months old at the time. Our borrower is a utility porter at a casino property, and he's a father that understands the need of stability for his children, and he was determined to raise his 3 girls in their own home. He's achieved his goal, and he kept his promise to his wife. This year, Nevada Partners Housing Programs will assist its 1,000th Southern Nevada family to purchase a home. And by the end of the year, we will have provided pre-purchase education to more than 6,100 people since the program's inception. I'd like to end with the words of Maya Angelou. The ache for a home lies in all of us, the safe place we can go as we are and not be questioned. Thank you.
All of the families you've met today and so many more have really beat the odds by daring to dream the dream and beat tremendous challenges, but beating the odds in Las Vegas is not something that happens very often. Just a couple housekeeping messages. First of all, I regret to say that Cecilia Munoz, who is to be our closing speaker, unfortunately was taken ill and won't be on the program today. So we'll have Secretary Castro's remarks in closing shortly. The families will join us with their counselors if they're here for pictures in the green room immediately on the close of the program. And I finally want to acknowledge and introduce you to members of our Housing Counseling Advisory Board, which will be meeting for its orientation immediately following. If I could just ask the advisory board members to stand quickly so we can acknowledge you. Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to ask Secretary Castro to return to the stage, please, and just share with us your reflections and some closing remarks.
All All right. First of all, let's give a round of applause and thank again all of our speakers today for sharing their stories. And thank you, Sarah, and to your staff for putting this together today. You know, I've been HUD Secretary for about 2 years, and the first significant speech that I gave was in front of the Bipartisan Policy Center a couple months after I became Housing Secretary. And at that time I said that we needed to end the stigma of promoting homeownership. And I'm sure that there were people in the audience and probably people watching that said, what? The fact is that a few years ago we went through a terrible housing crisis. And because of that, a lot of folks lost what they had spent many years and sometimes generations building up in terms of family wealth and home ownership. At the same time, it's also clear that we learned a lot of lessons from that and that we put safeguards in place that are important. And it's also clear that our housing market has recovered tremendously since then. It is up to all of us to make sure that the American dream of home ownership remains strong and that it continues. And I want to thank all of you who are housing counselors who are helping to make that happen. Because folks need opportunity. They also need knowledge and information. And that's what you help provide. And so I want to thank all of our speakers for sharing their experience with us. It motivates us, it lifts us up, it gives us hope for other families, and it also gives us resolve to create that opportunity for so many more. So thank you. Have a great day.